Have you ever been in a conversation and you're searching for that perfect word, but it's just not there? We've all been there. Well, today, we're gonna fix that. Think of this as a quick power-up for your communication skills. We are loading 20 essential words and phrases right into your vocabulary, so you can speak and write with way more confidence. So let's get started.
Now, to make these words really stick, we've bundled them into 4 simple groups. First, we'll look at words for analyzing and judging. Then, we'll jump into doing and aspiring. After that, it's all about qualities and improvements, and we'll wrap things up with some really useful everyday phrases and feelings.
So let's dive right into our first category. How can we talk about our ideas with a little more precision, a little more clarity? Well, these next few words are designed to help you do exactly that.
All right, Section 1, analyzing and judging. These words are all about how we look at information, form opinions, and make claims. Think of them as the building blocks for making a really clear, solid argument.
Okay, first up, assess. To assess something just means to evaluate it, to analyze it, usually to figure out its value. For example, you might say, we need to assess the situation before making a decision. And the noun form is simply assessment. Easy enough, right? Next, we have allege. Now, this is a super important word in news and in law. It means you're claiming something happened, but you don't have solid proof yet. So you'd hear, the suspect is alleged to have stolen the documents. The noun here is allegation. It's a way to report a claim without stating it as a fact. And finally, contradict. To contradict is simply to say the opposite of something. If someone says one thing but does another, you can say, his actions contradict his words. And the noun form? Contradict.
Our next word is testify. This is a more formal verb, and it means to give evidence as a witness, almost always in a court of law. For instance, the witness will testify tomorrow. It belongs to a neat little word family. The person who testifies gives testimony. That's their official statement. So the verb and the noun are tightly linked to the whole idea of giving a formal, factual account.
Now, when we talk about chances or probability, the word likely is absolutely essential. It's an adjective that just means something has a high chance of happening. Like it's likely to rain this afternoon. But where it gets really useful is for comparing things. We can talk about the most likely scenario, or its complete opposite, the least likely outcome.
All right, we've just covered words for analyzing. Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about words that describe our own goals and how we get there. So what words can we use to talk about our actions and our ambitions?
And that brings us to Section 2, doing and aspiring. This whole section is about words that get things done, words that describe actions, goals, and big dreams.
First up, we have the verb aspire. To aspire means you have a really strong hope or ambition to achieve something big. It's closely related to aspiration and inspiration, and it's almost always followed by the word to, like in, she aspires to be a doctor. Next up is seize. Now this is a powerful verb. It means to take hold of something suddenly and with force. But while you can literally seize an object, we more often use it for ideas or moments. That's why you always hear phrases like seize the opportunity or the famous seize the day.
Okay, let's look at 2 really practical verbs. First, inspect. To inspect something is to look at it very, very closely, usually because you're looking for problems or making sure it's up to standard. A person who does this for a living is an inspector, and the whole process is called an inspection. Then we have the word match. As a verb, it just means to go well with something, like when your shirt and pants match. But we also use it to talk about people being a good match or finding a matching pair of socks. So it's all about fitting together perfectly.
So we all know mind as a noun, like use your mind. But did you know it's also a really handy verb? As a verb, mind means to be careful of something or to pay attention. The classic example you'll hear in London is mind the gap. From this simple verb, we get the super popular adjective mindful, which means being aware, and the adverb mindfully, which is all about doing something with purpose and full attention. Okay, so we have words for thinking and words for doing. But what about words to describe, well, everything else? How do we talk about the qualities of people and things or the improvements we make?
And that leads us perfectly into Section 3, qualities and improvements. These are the words that help us put a label on the world around us and describe its characteristics.
Let's start with 2 really powerful nouns that are complete opposites. On one side, you have a patriot. A patriot is someone who truly loves and supports their country. On the other side, you have a traitor. A traitor is someone who betrays their country.
Both of these words are all about a person's loyalty, or lack of it, to their nation. First up, the noun refinement. A refinement is just a small change or an improvement you make to something to make it better. For example, the design needs some refinement. It's all about making something better through careful little adjustments. Next, we have the adjective civil. Being civil means being polite and courteous, especially when you disagree with someone. You might say, "Let's try to have a civil discussion." And here's a cool connection. This word is linked to the huge concept of civilization itself, the idea of people living together in an orderly, polite society. All right, first, the adjective toxic. Something that's toxic is poisonous or just really, really harmful. It could be literal, like a toxic chemical, or we can use it figuratively, like talking about a toxic workplace. From this word, we also get the verbs to toxify, which means to make something toxic, and to detoxify, which means to remove the toxins. Then we've got hybrid. A hybrid is just a thing that's made by combining two different things. The most common example is probably a hybrid car. It combines a gas engine and an electric motor. But you can have hybrid plants, hybrid ideas, you name it.
Okay, we've got words for ideas, actions, and qualities. We're on a roll. So are you ready to learn a few phrases that are going to make you sound even more natural when you speak?
Welcome to our final section, phrases and feelings. These are so key for sounding fluent and for just expressing yourself clearly in day-to-day life.
Our first phrase is notice in writing. Now, this is a fixed, formal phrase. It means an official notification that's written down, like in a letter or an email. You'll see this in contracts or any kind of official business where you need a record. For instance, you must give your landlord notice in writing 1 month before you move out. Next up is the idiom in tune with. If you're in tune with something, it just means you really understand it or you're in harmony with it. Think of it like a musical instrument being perfectly tuned. So for example, a great leader is in tune with the needs of their team. And quick note, don't confuse this with stay tuned, which is what you hear on TV and just means, wait, more is coming.
Let's wrap up with 3 super common items. First, the least. This just means the smallest amount possible. You'll hear it all the time in the polite and humble phrase, "It's the least I can do." Next, total loss. This phrase means something is completely, totally destroyed, with nothing of value left. It's really common when you're talking about insurance. For example, after the fire, the car was a total loss. And finally, the noun boredom. This is simply the name for the feeling of being bored. For instance, he started doodling out of sheer boredom.
And there you have it. We've just powered through 20 new words and phrases, all broken down into 4 key areas: analyzing, aspiring, describing, and communicating. You've officially added some awesome new tools to your communication toolkit.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Which new word or phrase will you seize the opportunity to use today? Because honestly, the best way to make new vocabulary stick is to start using it right away. That's how you really make it your own.